Hi, this is voiceover actor Tim Jackson, and you're listening to the Voiceover Marketing Podcast with John Melly.
Ladies and gentlemen,
boys and girls,
and dogs and cats of all kinds, here he is, John Melly.
Yeah!
He's the bomb.
That was pretty good, don't you think?
I think you'll like it.
Hey, it's John. Welcome to episode 71 of the Voiceover Marketing Podcast. And thank you to Tim Jackson for that fantastic intro. What a voice, Tim. Thank you so much for sending that in. Anyway, I'm excited to talk to you and share with you some more thoughts about marketing for your voiceover business. And I just want to say that within the last 10 days, throughout the month of February, we have had over 1,000 downloads, and our all-time number of downloads as of this recording is 118,412. That is so cool. I'm joined in the studio by my wonderful, faithful companion, Zoe the Wonder Dog. I've posted a picture of her in the Voiceover Marketing Podcast group on Facebook. A few folks have reached out and said they love Zoe's picture. I love Zoe's picture too. That's why I keep putting her picture up. Love that dog. I just want to give a quick shout out to the folks who have recently joined the Voiceover Marketing Podcast group on Facebook. And also a heads up to Roxanne's Voice. I would love to allow you into the group. However, your group is a group or a page, and I can't approve you. So I need you to actually come in as your individual self. I've clicked approve about a half dozen times, and Facebook keeps saying, no, we can't do that. So if you are Roxanne's Voice, please join us, but do it on your individual page. I'm sorry, that's the only way that Facebook seems like they're going to let you in. So anyway, thanks for trying, and thanks for checking that out. No other way to get in touch with you other than the podcast. I have a question for you. You know, I kind of go on a bit of a rant. I talk to the microwave or the stove or the timer. You know, when you set the microwave to heat something up for like 2 minutes or something, and then it beeps when it's finished, and then you don't get to it right away, and then it beeps again to remind you that, hey, there's stuff inside the microwave, and you say, yeah, I'm coming. Or if the timer on the oven goes off, and you go, yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, I'll be right there. Hold your horses. The dryer goes off, the clothes dryer goes, and then you hear the again. You're like, yeah, I'm coming. Knock it off. Do we really expect the machines to answer back? Why do we do that? Why? I mean, it's kind of stupid. You catch yourself. I mean, I talk to the television all the time. Like, are you kidding me? Really? Who wants to take that medication? Crazy. The cure sounds worse than the disease on a lot of these things. Anyway, yet I digress. But yeah, I find myself talking and responding to beeps from inanimate objects. And I don't know, am I the only person who does that? I don't think so. So I want to talk a little bit, I want to expand on some of the comments that I made in the last episode about be where no one else is. And I made reference to what I call the voiceover commodity marketplaces. And some people call them pay to play. I won't use any specific names. I kind of stomped all over what I call the voiceover demo mill industry in the last episode. And in doing so, I mentioned the voiceover commodity marketplaces. And what I want to talk about today underlies basically the whole premise for this show. And I want to talk about marketplace, how you select marketplaces, and I can only do so much in this podcast. Let me set the table for you by using a different example. Have you ever watched QVC and they're marketing, let's just say, a coffee cake, okay? I don't spend a lot of time watching QVC, but I do watch it to watch what they're doing. My wife and I have bought a few things from QVC, and they have some good products. But what's fascinating is to watch what they do and how they're doing it. And Ann and I took a tour of the QVC studios several years ago, and it was fascinating. It is an amazing operation. And keep in mind that they have to generate a certain amount of cash flow every minute to justify the airtime. Because they've got overhead, they've got fulfillment, they've got operators, they've got internet, they've got studios, they've got personalities, they've got people fulfilling the orders, they've got vendors that they need to pay, all that kind of stuff. So every minute that a product is on air has to pay for and make a profit It has to justify its existence in that time slot in their 24/7 live programming. They are the largest producer of live content of any broadcaster in the world. I think the only day they are not broadcasting live, and this is what they told us when we took the tour, is Christmas Day. Other than that, it is 24/7 live programming. And so they got to move a lot of stuff. So have you ever seen them sell like a coffee cake? And they're selling this coffee cake for like $40. And they're moving those coffee cakes and they give you the count. Now, the reason that they give you the count is they want to give you, first of all, there are a couple of things. It's social proof that others will buy. You know, wow, 2,000 people have bought this coffee cake. I can't be the only crazy person thinking of spending $40 for a coffee cake. So it's called social proof. And second is that they've got the countdown. We've got 2,000 sold. There are only 3,000 on hand on our first order, and then we're going to have to wait a week, and you'll get a delayed shipment. So order now if you want to get on this first round of coffee cake purchases. What that does is it causes scarcity. It creates scarcity in the marketplace. And so you've got social proof and scarcity going for you. And then you've got testimonial by the host of the show who's talking about how wonderful this coffee cake tastes. And I don't know the name of this coffee cake. I'm using coffee cake as an example. But it's a valid example because what I'm about to share with you is why place is important. So you've got the coffee cake and it's set up for television. You know, it's wonderfully displayed. They're doing close-ups of like the cinnamon and the sugar and the glazing, the frosting on the top of it, if they have it, whatever. And they're cutting into it slowly, and you can see it's moist, and the host and the person bites into it, and they go, oh, boy, that cinnamon really comes through, doesn't it? Oh, you know, this isn't just good with coffee. This is good with tea or lemonade or whatever. And so what they're doing is giving you different paths of entry into, like, I mean, you might not like coffee, but hey, if you like tea, this coffee cake's going to be good with it. Or lemonade. Yeah, I'm making this up, but listen for stuff like this. Or, you know what else? You could have this as a dessert after dinner and with a nice dessert wine. Again, another path of entry, another option for you to consider while justifying a $40 purchase for a coffee cake. Now, that same coffee cake, I've seen that coffee cake in one of the big wholesale club box type stores for like $15. Okay? So you've got QVC or Home Shopping Network or whatever, and they're selling that for like $40 and they're getting it. And if you go to one of these box stores, you get it for like $15. What's the difference? Marketplace. In the marketplace, the selected marketplace of QVC, it's the atmosphere of the host and the lighting and the presentation, right? You're getting all of that. You're getting a show, a performance around a coffee cake. And they're selling you the opportunity to take part in that performance. Oh, so-and-so, we get this through QVC. It's on auto deliver, and it gives you a story, and then you get to call in, and you get to participate in the show, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I was on QVC, and I talked about ordering this coffee cake. Again, social proof. And by the way, I'm not saying any of this is bad. I'm just using this as an example before I translate into the voiceover world, okay? If they can get $40 for a coffee cake, more power to them. There's always a marketplace. If you go back to episode 1 of this podcast, I talk about the difference between Godiva chocolates and Hershey's Kisses. If you haven't listened to that episode, put that on your next listen list or re-listen to that episode. It's all about place. It's all about presentation. Now, what don't you get when you go to one of these big box stores? You don't get the show. You get a display with probably 100 of them stacked up on a pallet somewhere, or maybe on an end cap, but it's on some, metal shelving. Swap out the coffee cake and insert light bulbs, from a hardware store. So it's all about place. It's all about marketplace. You won't get somebody walking into one of these box stores who will ever spend $40 on a coffee cake in that location. But those very same people may buy that very same brand of coffee cake when watching it on QVC or the Home Shopping Network or some online television show. Why? It's all about place. It's all about environment. It's all about commodities. Remember, I've talked about the voiceover commodity marketplaces. There's nothing special about it in a big box store. It's amongst 499 other boxes of that coffee cake stacked up on a shelf, among 10 other types of coffee cakes and muffins and all that kind of stuff in the bakery section of this giant warehouse store. You go into a giant warehouse store, you're not expecting luxury, right? You're expecting savings. You could no more put a $40 price tag on a coffee cake in one of those environments than you could put a $500 voiceover fee in a voiceover commodity marketplace. So what are the parallels? The pay-to-play areas, the voiceover commodity marketplaces. You are amongst shelves full of voiceover talent. My apologies to everyone who is a member. I have profiles on the voiceover commodity marketplace sites. I used to have a paid membership to a couple of them. I don't anymore. It was way back, maybe 15, 16, 17 years ago that I had that. Did I get clients from it? Yes. It was a different world back then. Those were different marketplaces back then. Back then, it was something brand new. Now, they're commodities. Back then, that place was something unique and different. Now, everybody's there. There's nothing special about it. And a lot of people have railed about the business practices and your opportunity to be able to participate and audition in these different voiceover commodity marketplaces. I can't speak to that. The folks who own those businesses, they control that. That's their business. You, as a customer, a talent provider, have a decision to make whether or not you want to participate. It's up to you. It's not up to them. It's their platform. You choose to participate or not. And they may be harsh for some people. I agree with the folks who sign up for one thing and then the platform changes midstream and the terms and all that kind of stuff change. But, in their agreement, they say our terms can change at any time and you understand this, that, yada, yada, yada. It still kind of stinks. To be fair, maybe they could grandfather people, but I understand. I mean, they hold the keys to the kingdom. So what do? You don't have to be there. Right? You can leave. You can not re-up. Or you can say, you know what? This is working for me. I'll continue to subscribe. It's more than paid for itself. If that's the case, great. It's working for you. You can't argue with success. But what I want to talk about are really what you're working against. You're basically putting yourself at a wholesale box store when you go to one of these commodity marketplaces. Let's look what happens. If you're there amongst 10, 20, 30,000 other voice talent from around the world, what are you going to do? That's a lot to overcome. It's like playing the lottery, in my opinion. And I don't want to participate in an area like that. I want to be the coffee cake on QVC. I want to have everything set up just right for me. And you should too. So what I mean by talking about be where no one else is don't be in the wholesale where there's thousands of other voiceover talents that you're competing against. And for the person who's putting their stuff up there, looking for talent to voice their copy, their scripts, they're going there for a reason. Like people go to wholesale clubs for a reason. They're going there because they can see voice talent for very low rates. And the commodity marketplaces are basically a toll position. They're the gatekeeper. They're like eBay. They're like Amazon. They're like Poshmark and all of these transaction sites where somebody's paying a fee to list it and somebody's paying a percentage of the sale is going back to the person who's developed the platform. So they're in a toll position. They're like a stock market for voiceovers. It's like when you buy and sell a stock, the brokers are getting a commission on each end of that transaction, but they're providing a service at the same time. They're providing you access to markets. The stockbroker is providing you access to the stock market. The transaction sites like eBay and Poshmark and Etsy and all these other places, they're providing you access to a platform and a marketplace. They've created an audience who are attracted to what people who offer things on these various sites have to offer. So you're basically buying access to a predetermined marketplace. They've done some of the heavy lifting for you. They've found customers for you, and that's what you're paying for. They've created an audience that says, like somebody makes homemade pot holders. Well, there's a market for people who are looking for homemade pot holders. If you make pot holders, my advice to you would be to make them with a fabric that has some kind of animal on it, because things with animals on them outsell all kinds of other stuff, because people have certain animals that they love. I love my dog. I love Zoe. I think I told you last episode we had a stationery store. We marketed things that had wolves on them. Like we had greeting cards with wolves, and we had a wind chime that had a wolf on it or something. And people bid those things up. We sold them on eBay, and it was crazy because some people really love wolves. We used to have like stuffed bumblebees or honeybees. People went crazy for this little stuffed plush toy of a bumblebee because they were probably a beekeeper. Well, there were a handful of beekeepers out, not a handful, but that's a small marketplace. But these giant platforms can pull those folks in. And if you put the right keywords in, like honeybee or bumblebee, you're going to get a handful of people who really want that because that's something that they're passionate about. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about finding things that people are passionate about. What are you passionate about? There's a lot to unpack here, and I don't have a ton of time to go through it all. But being in a place where no one else is means that you can command your price. Just like QVC or Home Shopping Network, they have a marketplace, and they feature the coffee cake. And they're not showcasing 3 different coffee cakes at once unless it's from the same baker, or same company that bakes these coffee cakes. It's that coffee cake. And maybe they sell muffins, but they focus on that. And then if they do a different segment, it might go to something totally different for a little bit. But it's never, we've got 3 different bakeries showcasing the coffee cake trilogy in time for the holidays. No, this is the most awesomest ever coffee cake company being featured for that show's segment, and they focus on that. It's not a whole bunch of others. It's all by itself. Whereas you go to these big box stores, there's tons of them. There's nothing special about it there, except if you go, oh yeah, that was really good last time. Let's grab that again. There's no story with it. On the TV show, there's a story. With the stuffed bumblebees that we sold on eBay, there was a story. And I didn't have to write it, but the person who bought it already had the story. I love bumblebees. So they bought the bumblebee, and they paid, it was ridiculous. I mean, the plush toy was like $10, and they paid like 3 times that. But that's what it was an auction site, and they said, I'm willing to buy that for that amount of money. And so we sold it. But the transaction sites are in a toll position. Same thing for the voice-over commodity marketplace sites. They are in a toll position. They're providing you a platform and a marketplace to access where something can get transacted, and they take a little percentage. Some would say it's not little, but they take a percentage from each side of that transaction. And your yearly subscription is your cost of doing business on that platform. That's their business model. They have a right to change that business model whenever they want to. And you have the equal right of saying, yeah, I don't want to play, or yeah, I'll pay, I want to play. But you have to understand what you're getting into. You're getting into an area where there are tens of thousands of other people willing to do the same thing. And then you have to differentiate yourself. And it's harder to do that when there are so many other coffee cakes on either side of the shelf that you're on. You need to stand out. You need to be where no one else is. And you can do that. And that's different for everyone. I've talked about it in previous episodes. I've talked about look over my shoulder. I'll give you an example. I have found several marketplaces where there are no other voiceover talent, where there are no other audio production people. And I've put together programs where I charge the fee. They pay the fee. They don't argue the fee. They say, okay, let's schedule a recording date. And I don't audition. There's no one else for them to choose. It's me. And I've done that and get like $3,000 for those types of programs. It's a heck of a lot better than auditioning all day long in a commodity marketplace up against people willing to do it for like $25, $50, $100. I've talked about this before, but it's like you need to be able to differentiate yourself in such a way that you command price, that there is no competition, nowhere else for them to go. There's no other choice but you. You know, you can do that. You can set yourself apart. And it's not possible for me to be able to do it for absolutely everyone in the course of this program. But I hope I've given you some ideas to think about. I mean, what's unique to you? There's a theme through all these episodes. What's your personal story? What's your origin story? All of that feeds into this. One thing leads to another, to another, to another. And there are so many people with so many ideas and talents and frustrations that they're feeling right now because they're trying to do what everybody else is doing. Don't do that. Earl Nightingale said, whatever the majority is doing, do the opposite. Dan Kennedy, who I talked about extensively in last episode, says the majority is always wrong. And in many cases, he's right. So it takes a little outside thinking, and I hope I've given you some stuff to think about. I can't do it for everybody here, but if you listen to this series of episodes of this podcast, you'll hear a common theme, several common themes, and I hope you'll take advantage of them. If you want to really explore this for yourself, if you really want to dive in deep, then reach out to Mike at johnmelly.com, get an application, get it back to our office, and get on my calendar. And we can work one-on-one to make this happen for you. It's different for everyone. But sometimes when you're so close to something, you can't see it. And what I can do is help you find those things and help you leverage your knowledge, your expertise, your talents, put you in a league of your own where you can command the price and you have no competition. They buy from you and they don't debate you. Anyway, it's very important for you to differentiate yourself because if you don't, why should they hire you? What's your unique selling proposition? What do you bring to the table? Why should I listen to you? Why should I hire you? Why shouldn't I hire them? They're willing to do it for $25. Don't play that game. Don't play it. Cut down on the frustration. Eliminate the frustration of banging your head against the wall of going, I've done 35 auditions this week and I haven't gotten a single acceptance. It's crazy. And what were you going to do it for? $100? Nuts. Zoe is freaking out. Everything is okay, puppy. Everything is okay. Come here. Everything's okay. It's okay. Anyway, that's my Zoe voice. Anyway, yeah, sounds self-serving. If you want to dive deep, it's unique to you. Get with me and I will help you. I would love to help you. So anyway, that's that for this show. I want to thank you for listening. I've got some more stuff coming up for you next week. Until then, take care.
Our program originates in the Boston studios. We hope you'll join us again. Until then, we bid you more luck, keep your chin up, and the best of luck.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Voiceover Marketing Podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to it at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com so you'll get notices of new episodes. And please share it with your friends and colleagues in the voiceover world. Also, it would be a huge help if you'd like this podcast and rate it on iTunes to help keep it near the top of the list. Feel free to share your comments and questions about this episode and future topics you'd like discussed at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com. And if you'd like more information on one-on-one coaching with me and mastermind group opportunities where we focus on growing your business, feel free to drop me a line at my cyber assistant's email address at mike@johnmelly.com. Thanks for listening. Now go out there and share your voice with the world.